It was a quiet afternoon in the small Zen monastery, the kind of stillness that seemed to envelop the very air itself. The only sound that broke the silence was the gentle tapping of a monk's wooden sandals as he made his way through the serene gardens, his mind lost in contemplation. This monk, whose name was Taikishi, had been a resident of the monastery for many years, his days filled with the rhythmic routines of meditation, study, and service. But today, something weighed heavily on his mind, the lesson he had learned long ago, one that had profoundly shaped his understanding of the nature of existence. As Taikishi walked, he found himself drawn to a small pavilion, where a simple glass vase sat atop a wooden table, its delicate form catching the dappled sunlight that filtered through the surrounding trees. Taikishi paused, his gaze fixed on the vase, and a memory began to stir within him. It had been many years ago, during his early days as a novice monk, when he had first encountered this profound teaching. He had been sweeping the monastery's courtyard, lost in the rhythmic motions of his task, when his teacher, the venerable abbot Hiroshi, had approached him. "Taikishi," the abbot had said, his voice soft and measured, "I have a question for you. What do you see when you look at that vase?" Taikishi had glanced up, surprised by the unexpected question, and had studied the vase for a moment. "I see a beautiful glass vase, abbot," he had replied. The abbot had nodded, a faint smile playing on his lips. "And what do you think will happen to that vase one day?" Taikishi had considered the question, his brow furrowing in thought. "Well, I suppose it could break, or perhaps it will simply wear down over time," he had said. The abbot had then leaned in, his eyes sparkling with a wisdom that belied his years. "Taikishi, the vase is already broken." Taikishi had been taken aback by the abbot's words, unsure of what he meant. But as the abbot had explained, the lesson was a profound one, that the very nature of existence is impermanence, and that all things, no matter how beautiful or seemingly permanent, are ultimately destined to change and pass away. "The vase is already broken," the abbot had said, "because it is only a matter of time before it will no longer exist in its current form. And so it is with all things in this world, including ourselves." Taikishi had listened, his mind slowly unraveling the layers of this teaching, and he had come to understand that the abbot was not speaking of the vase's physical form, but rather of the inherent transience of all phenomena. Now, as Taikishi stood before the vase once more, he felt a deep sense of gratitude for the wisdom that had been imparted to him all those years ago. He understood that the vase, like all things, was a fleeting manifestation of the ever-changing nature of the universe, and that to cling to it or any other object or experience as permanent would only lead to suffering. With a gentle sigh, Taikishi reached out and touched the vase, feeling the cool, smooth surface beneath his fingertips. He knew that one day, this vase would indeed break, or be discarded, or simply fade away, and that was the nature of things. But in that moment, he could appreciate its beauty and fragility, and the profound lesson it held. As Taikishi turned and continued his walk through the gardens, he felt a sense of lightness and freedom. The weight of attachment and the fear of impermanence had been lifted from his shoulders, and he knew that he could face the inevitable changes and challenges of life with a greater sense of equanimity and grace. In the end, the lesson of the glass vase had become a touchstone for Taikishi, a reminder that the true nature of existence is one of constant flux and transformation. And by embracing this truth, he had found a deeper sense of peace and understanding, not just in the monastery, but in the very fabric of his life.